When it comes to Bubba Wallace, nothing will surprise us anymore. Wallace is known as the bonehead in NASCAR, and he has made some very silly and stupid mistakes. However, after what he's done on Sunday, it goes without saying that this one tops all of the outbursts that Wallace has committed in NASCAR. He did receive a penalty by being banned for one race, but according to many experts, the penalty itself is funny and makes literally no sense. So what is behind NASCAR's penalty for Bubba Wallace? At the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Bubba Wallace was responsible for an accident that was really hard to justify from his side. He made contact with Kyle Larson, and as a result of this, Bubba was suspended from this weekend's race at Homestead Miami Speedway for intentionally wrecking the car of Larson. In the process, no fines or points penalties were assessed, but Wallace became the first driver to be suspended for actions in a race since 2019. Wallace is currently racing for 23XI Racing, wearing the number 45. Prior to him, the last driver that held this infamous record was Johnny Sauter, as he was suspended for one race for intentionally wrecking Austin Hill in a truck event at Iowa Speedway. So what actually happened with Bubba Wallace and Larson? On lap 95 of 267 in Sunday's Cup Series race, Larson slid up into Wallace, who had won Stage 1 and led 29 of the first 94 laps, and knocked him into the outside wall. As Wallace came back down the track, he slammed into the right rear of Larson's number 5 Chevrolet, sending both cars in a state beyond repair and out of the race. This crash had a bigger magnitude, sending the playoff driver Christopher Bell out of the race as he was swept from this accident and fell victim to collateral damage. Wallace's actions after the crash were something that not many people can justify. For example, he walked over to Larson's wrecked car and started shoving him. To be fair, he did apologize on Monday for the actions he took on his Twitter account, but actions do speak louder than words, and it's evident that Bubba's behavior is something that needs to change in situations like this. NASCAR's Chief Operating Officer, Steve O'Donnell, talked on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and said that Wallace's suspension was the result of what happened in the race car, and that the decision was made based on the rate of speed of the choices made in the incident. It's been very rare, if ever, that we suspend drivers. We don't take that action lightly, said Steve. From 23XI Racing, the replacement for the next race in Miami has already been announced, and that is John Hunter Nemechek, who'll race in car number 45. So what did 23XI Racing and Bubba Wallace have to say about this incident? 23XI posted on Twitter saying, 23XI is aligned with NASCAR on the one race suspension issued to Bubba, and we understand the need for the series to take a clear stand on the incidents that took place at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Bubba's actions are not in keeping with the values of our team and partners. We have spoken to Bubba and expressed our disapproval of how he handled the situation. Bubba has made impressive strides this season, and this experience is an opportunity for him to further learn and grow as a competitor in NASCAR. As a result of the penalty, John Hunter Nemechek will drive the number 45 Toyota this weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. As we mentioned earlier in this video, Bubba Wallace has accepted his fault and taken responsibility for his own actions, as he went out on Twitter to share his emotional apology, saying, I want to apologize for my actions on Sunday following the on-track incident with Kyle Larson and the number 5 car. My behavior does not align with the core values that are shared by 23XI Racing and our partners who have played a crucial role in my incredible journey to the top of this great sport. I want to apologize to NASCAR and the fans, along with Christopher Bell, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Toyota for putting them in a situation in the playoffs that they do not deserve. I compete with immense passion, and with passion at times comes frustration. Upon reflecting, I should have represented our partners and core team values better than I did by letting my frustrations follow me outside of the car. You live and learn, and I intend to learn from this. Nevertheless, Wallace's reaction after being pinched in the wall, which is part of NASCAR racing and is nothing that you have to be mad or furious about, is something that has really shaken up the sport. The actions of the driver that is pushing you towards the wall are something that is considered an everyday activity in NASCAR, and you don't have the right to react the way you did. Apologizing is good from your side, but your accident took off a championship candidate in Bell, and no matter how much you apologize, that is not going to change. Therefore, many have called for a much harsher penalty on Bubba than just a one-race ban. The accident itself was atrocious, and Larson was nowhere near at fault for this accident, and the only reason it happened is because Bubba's frustrations were much bigger than his ambitions to complete a clear overtake. You would think that a driver that has been in this sport for quite some time would react better after being pinched to the wall by a rival. But this is Bubba Wallace we're talking about, and it's unlikely that he's going to learn from this accident and become a better version of himself the next time he is out there. The fact that Bubba didn't immediately acknowledge that he was wrong, as he blamed Larson, speaks volumes about the fury and anger he felt at that moment, for something he was 100% at fault. Yet again, the fact that a championship contender was knocked out thanks to his actions is something irreparable, and no matter how many times Bubba says sorry, the outcome of the race is not going to change. The only thing that NASCAR can do at this moment is to apply harsher penalties to situations like this, especially to drivers like Bubba who have shown that they can lose their temper in a matter of seconds. That has been done on multiple occasions this season, and it's not something that the sport needs in the near future. In a post-race interview, Bubba admitted that he doesn't lift in tight situations, but the facts stand as they are, and in this case the fact that Larson didn't even touch Bubba's car in Turn 3 is the reality. Pinch Bubba close to the wall was the right thing that Larson did, as he didn't invent anything new in NASCAR, and this action itself deserved a much better reaction from Bubba. Because of his "I don't lift" philosophy, Bubba hit the wall and then lost the advantage to Larson. He then hunted down Larson, intentionally hitting him as if they were part of a video game and not an official competition called NASCAR. Rest assured that if NASCAR officials hadn't stepped in, there would have been an accident here, as Bubba would have likely landed some punches at Larson in all of the fury and anger he was feeling at that moment. This is one of the reasons why Bubba should be handed a bigger and much harsher penalty. If he misses out on one race, it's very unlikely that Bubba would learn from his mistakes and would come out as a reversed person. The fact that Larson did literally nothing to trigger Bubba's behavior after the crash and the physical retaliation is something that adds up to the narrative that the one-race ban for Wallace is something that makes no sense. What Bubba should have done after the accident is to man up and admit his own mistakes. You did enough by crashing intentionally into Larson and taking out a potential championship winner. You don't need any more controversies or tantrums. Still, that is exactly what Bubba did, and it's time that he feels the blow of the consequences that came out of his actions. Wallace and Larson are both out of the playoff picture, but the fact that their accident took Bell out of the race may have cost him a chance to advance in the season-ending Championship 4 winner-take-all title race that will happen on November 6th in Phoenix. When your actions are damaging someone else's race and championship hopes, one race ban is literally a slap on the wrist for your actions. If Bell wants to have any kind of chance to advance to the Championship 4 round, he needs to pretty much win either one of the next 2 races or have top 5 finishes in both races. The latter scenario may not even be enough for Bell to advance to the Championship 4, all thanks to Bubba's actions. With that being said, what do you think about NASCAR's penalty for Bubba Wallace? Do you think that a one-race ban is enough for the 2311 racing driver? Let us know in the comments below.